Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chunushumme, washmale, ohai benzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, halishuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suavia, balli kire, hosh kaldin. And thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching what this morning alongside the very fantastic, amazing, superb and a wonderful colleague, and she happens to be Miss Maheen Jaffrey. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. And we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. First things first. Hello Maheen, Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum Shahzad. I'm doing wonderful, very happy. Started my day with prayers and supplications and of course the affirmations that I was talking about, and then had a wonderful cup of coffee, and now of course I'm so excited and elated and supercharged because every day we are bringing in people from different walks of life and they're telling us so much information we impart to the audience as well, and we gather so much knowledge, and if we start applying that knowledge in our lives, imagine where would we be?
Exactly, and it's honestly very beautiful as well, ladies and gentlemen, when you get to see so many people who are well learned, who are the experts of their own fields as well. So it's like they will always fill you up with something newer, and that's how life needs to be. Every day you're learning about something new, which is why so today I've got two things which I wanted to start my day with, and that is that quite often, this is something which I've seen very recently, that colleagues will meet, or probably family members, or if you get ready and you go somewhere, so then the next person or the first person you're actually going to meet will be like, hey, you know what, your shirt looks absolutely stunning, or probably your shoes are so nice, or your suit looks so nice. I mean, why can't you tell the other person that, hey, you know what, you look nice, you look good. So please make sure that you always give out a compliment, and you should mean it in the first place, because otherwise they would know that you're doing flattery. Other than that, there was another thing which I've always been an avid believer of, and I always think that, this is how things work as well. So what I wanted to say was that action, ladies and gentlemen, springs out of your desires. So this is something which you really need to kind of keep in mind, that if you are going to kind of think about something which you desire and you start to kind of contemplate upon that as well, that's where your action is going to come in, and inshallah you will be able to achieve that as well. So please make sure that that you keep on desiring for whatever you want in your life. May it be positive in the first place.
With good intentions.
Yes, exactly, and we certainly want that, because my mother, she will always tell me, कि पुत्र तुम्हारी जायज़ ख्वाहिशात सारी पूरी, and I was like, okay, ख्वाहिशात पूरी हो माजी, ये कह दें. But for everybody who's out there, please make sure that you're going to have a great day, and that whatever your goals are, that you will achieve them today as well. Make sure that you go step by step. Make sure that you're not kind of hasty as well, and don't be impatient. That's something which I believe is the key to success as well. But let's see what's happening all over Pakistan and all over the world as well. Let's see what's happening in the top stories. You want to kind of take the lead, or do you want me to take the lead as well? All right, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, obviously, Sinovac delegation meets Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, where in details, I would want to share that the Director International Business, Mr. Kevin, Federal Minister for Health, Abdul Qadir Patel, also attended the meeting. The Prime Minister was briefed on vaccine provided by Sinovac to Pakistan during COVID-19. Sinovac expresses keen interest in setting up joint venture for diagnosis, prevention and treatment of disease by investing in Pakistan. The Prime Minister welcomed the investment offer made by Chinese company and will extend all possible cooperation. He also directed the Health Minister to form a task force for the project proposed by Sinovac. I think everybody needs to kind of thank Sinovac over here as well, which is why we got inoculated in the first place, and thanks to the Pakistani government that we got the vaccinations for free as well. So thank you very much, Sinovac, and thank you very much, the government of Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
And now talking about the cabinet meetings where important decisions take place. It's about amendment of laws in NAB, and the federal cabinet has approved constitution of a committee to amend laws pertaining National Accountability Bureau to protect the bureaucracy and businessmen from the bureau's alleged harassment. The cabinet, which met in Islamabad with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in the chair, approved that a committee to be headed by the law minister and comprises leading experts of law, banking, bureaucracy and other sectors. Cabinet approved swift annulment of civil servants rules 2020 as well as ending disciplinary actions initiated against government. It said the process of accountability should be transparent and indiscriminate. Cabinet meeting directed the Commerce Ministry to prepare a comprehensive report on devising import substitute policy and for reduction of imports and enhancement of exports.
We hope that the outcome of this meeting is actually going to be fruitful as well, and that transparency is going to be, I mean, rather than kind of stating that, that we certainly want transparency in such issues as well, ladies and gentlemen, I think what we really need to kind of ensure is that transparency is for everybody out there as well, not just for a few, not just for the powerful, so that we are an inclusive society and that we get equal opportunities and equal benefits to each and every individual of Pakistan as well. But moving on, obviously we do know that, Pakistan, or in fact, a few areas of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, are under heat wave, which is why a climate change task force control rooms are to be set up. The meeting of the task force on climate change was held in pursuance of the Prime Minister's directive. Under the chairmanship of Minister for Climate Change, Senator Sherry Rahman, the meeting was convened to take stock of immediate preparedness and response measures, prepare an action plan on precautionary measures, prepare a comprehensive public communication strategy, and take cognizance of water shortages in agriculture and other sectors. One of the most significant decisions taken in the meeting was establishing central control rooms located in the NDMA to ensure effective coordination with all emergency response units in order to expedite flow of information regarding heat wave. The task force directed the provincial governments to provide information on the number of emergency response centers within each province so that Ministry of Climate Change can proactively disseminate that information to the general public. Wow, that's wonderful. All right, moving on.
And now next we talk about the polio eradication. Pakistan has worked really hard on such things, but now fresh cases are emerging.
True.
And
3 new cases came up.
Keeping in view the reporting of 3 fresh polio cases, government has decided to start a nationwide immunization campaign from May 23rd to May 29th, according to the spokesperson of the Ministry of Health. Previous drives were limited to some areas, but this campaign will be launched in all areas of the country. In a message, Minister for Health Qadir Patel said government of Pakistan remains committed to eradicating polio and focusing on well-coordinated efforts at both the federal and provincial level to realize the dream of making Pakistan a polio-free country.
And it's really unfortunate, ladies and gentlemen, that on this very planet we call Earth, there are only 2 countries left with polio cases as well. We know that the federal and the provincial governments have given it their 100%, but I think it totally comes down to people where they're just very reluctant to get inoculated or probably the vaccine as well. So I think it's our responsibility to reach out to those people and kind of tell them that, hey, you know what, it's for the well-being of our nation, your children, and the future generations as well. But towards moving on towards sports, ladies and gentlemen, where our hockey squad is actually set to leave for Jakarta, probably for the Asia Games as well. Pakistan hockey team will leave for Jakarta on Thursday for the Asia Hockey Cup. Earlier, Pakistan Hockey Federation Selection Committee announced 20-player squad for Asia Cup. The squad included Umar Bhatta will lead the side, whereas Ali Shah will be the vice captain. Well, that's what's happening within the country and outside the country too, ladies and gentlemen. But Rao, I think it's about time that we kind of get our heads into where we certainly need to kind of talk about the water scarcity levels as well. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the UNDP or the Pakistan Council for Research on Water Resources actually kind of alerted the authorities back in 1990s that we have actually touched upon the line where the water usage for any individual is going to be lesser. For example, these days we actually, to ourselves, we actually have 1,017 cubic meters which we can utilize, and the scarcity line is at 1,000 cubic meters as well. Not just that, in 2005 we surpassed that line, and by 2025 we will be a water scarce country. Some say 2025, some say 2040. But over here, this is something which we did establish yesterday, and that was that Pakistan might not be water scarce, but I think it's the resources which we utilize to kind of preserve water as well.
And manage.
Imagine that every year Pakistan gets somewhat approximately 143 million gallons cubic water as well. But we are only able to store somewhat around 30 or 40,000. I mean, this is something which is really worrisome. But what do we really need to do? Just yesterday when we were in conversation with a guest, they said that, if the dams cannot store enough water, we should actually go back to having water naturally, which was under the ground as well. But then we do not have any policies in place, or probably the people do not abide by those policies as well. So imagine, what are we leaving our future generations with? Are we even going to leave them with enough water? It's all probably because of climate change, ladies and gentlemen, and we really need to kind of take stringent, strict actions, and that too as of now.
Yeah, on personal level as well. Yesterday we discussed in detail what do we need to do, why is it so important for a country like Pakistan, because it is already water stressed, like Shahzad told, and now we'd be discussing about the solutions, what we need to do ahead and how careful we should be.
Exactly. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be an environmentalist and analyst himself. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Dr. Shahid Zia. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sir, how are you?
I'm fine.
Sir, first of all, thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here. And for the first question which I'm going to pose towards you is that, is Pakistan really a water scarce country as of now?
Before answering your question, let me thank you for the very wonderful welcome you always start your program with.
Thank you, sir.
That's amazing.
And the dua of your dadi on your jaiz khashat, that reminded me Alama's saying, Teri dua hai ke ho teri arzu puri, meri dua hai ke teri arzu badal jaye.
Wow, 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 wow.
So,
beautiful.
What we are seeing these days, the heat waves, and probably that was the hottest March since 1901 in India. 61 years record of the hottest April in Pakistan.
True.
So that is we cannot handle it. Making task force for this at that time when we are suffering from the heat waves or the floods or the droughts. We are fortunately or unfortunately, we are either facing taking too much water or too little water, drought or floods. And every year we are going through these situations, and then we came out of that and forget about that. There are two ways to handle it.
Sure.
If we see in the world, everyone knows that different parts of the world have suffered through the different kinds of stresses. Like droughts, if you have a persistent drought, the solutions are difficult and different. But in our case, we are either in drought or in under flood. So that is a fortunate situation that we have more than enough water at some time, and then we have the drought-like conditions rest of the year. So that shows that when we are in this kind of situation, basically we call it's a management issue.
True.
When you have the surpluses, that means you have enough water, then you need to manage it for the rest of the year. So normally when we say management of water, we always talk about Kalabagh Dam or world's largest dam, Tarbela, we do not think about the kind of the small is beautiful.
The groundwater basically.
Small and affordable and the short term solutions also.
True.
Dams are part of it, mega dams, mega storage, but we also need to manage every drop of water. When we say we it's not just the government, all of us. Whenever we have water, we waste it like anything. In the cities, on the field, in the farmers' field.
I think it's the same with money. It's the same with when you have resources in abundance.
Money, Yes, you can earn or
Water has become money now.
water is a life-saving.
Yeah.
It's more than money.
True.
So there is one Mexican philosopher said, when all the rivers will be dry, when all the trees you will cut, and then there's a long list of these environmental disasters. In the end, he says, only then you will learn money cannot be eaten. You can make money out of all these things, but in the end, you will learn that money cannot be eaten. So what we are doing, I'm focusing on the policy issues of Pakistan for the last more than 3 decades now. I haven't seen any government large, strong initiative looking at the whole issue together, the heat waves, floods, droughts, available water, available forests, what kind of what percentage of area we need to put under the forests. It's a depleting.
And we are at 2% now. Initially, we were at 5%, I believe.
Less than 5%. Okay. 4.2% forest plus some, if we include trees, it's still less than 5%.
And the national parks we had lost them already.
We put some protected areas, even sometimes we do not respect that.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is, every citizen, like religiously believe that we need to plant trees.
True.
In the household, if you do not have even 1 inch of place to put a pot and then put a tree over there, and in your balconies, around your gate maybe. So have to take this responsibility that I'm contributing little bit, whatever I can, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
True.
So that we'll have to take it, otherwise we'll keep facing these things.
Exactly. And sir, in addition to that, since you actually spoke about the greenhouse effect as well, I think what we really need to kind of talk about over here is that I think it's about time that we move on to renewable energy sources as well. We've been burning fossil fuels. But sir, while staying on the context of, whether Pakistan is water scarce or not, I still want your statement on that, whether you think Pakistan is water scarce or not, and then whether we should be worried or not. Because to be very honest, that ever since Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif Saab has taken office, I think his government is actually trying to kind of make sure that they give this issue 100% attention. And this is something which I'm going to relate back to when, unfortunately, Pakistan went through the toughest times, and we didn't really had electricity to ourselves as well. And there was a crisis, and it was the PMLN's government which took office, and alhamdulillah, we did had a solution. So don't you think that, God forbid, if nobody is going to pay attention towards it, somewhat around 2025, once again it will be politicized, or probably people will kind of ask for votes, and that too, okay, we will give you safe drinking water, vote for us, or something of that sort.
Actually, that's it's not that simple when we say per capita water availability is declining. So then we're not just talking about.
It has declined already.
No, it's not just we are talking about declining supplies of water.
Yeah.
We also talking about increasing number of people who are dependent on that water.
True.
When we say in 47 or 50s we have this much water per capita,
The population
we look at the population that have had that water. So it doesn't mean that it declined to the level that we have less than or almost 1,000 cubic meter water per person. We need to look at our population growth also, and real, in serious sense, focus on that.
Yeah.
But water, we have surface water. We are very lucky nation on the earth. We have glaciers. We have we used to have at least 5 flowing rivers in this land.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
And unfortunately, our policy makers did not make the right decision to have three rivers to the India. At least we have 2 major rivers flowing. and then we have in most of the Pakistan underground water drinkable. So we are messing with all of these resources. So we have less plantation. That means heat waves, glaciers will be melting fast. So sometimes it's a blessing also. We need now water. Glaciers are fast melting. We will be having soon. We will have water in our rivers, and if it's melt too fast, we might have faced floods also.
So coming back to your point.
So scarcity is there.
Okay.
At all levels. We are seeing in Cholistan, others people are even dying of without
65 people died.
And where we are facing the hard or the harshest part of it is the farmers. So when it's too cold, they need water for their crops. So it's not just the heat waves; it's the cold waves also.
True.
So that is affecting their crop, their fruit gardens basically. And when it comes to heat waves, they again need water to save their.
True.
I'm coming from the South Punjab and all these areas.
How hot was it, sir?
It's not just the heat. I was really feeling sad when seeing the farmers' fields. The crops they have sown is just gone. So only we can see the little bit greener parts where the farmer have some water. So we need to, when coming to the solutions, to it's just long-term and short-term solutions. Our policies. Let me also appreciate the KPK. I'm always saying that they are the politically wisest people in Pakistan. So they were the first to introduce 1 billion tree drive, and then to 10 billion tree drives. Maybe even 1 billion survives, that will have a major contribution, and even the global community appreciated that.
Exactly.
We need to, no matter who comes, which party comes to the power, we not only need to continue with that, need to enhance that.
Exactly.
Enhance that to the our farm policies. Like if we need to save ourselves, we need to put some area on every farm that is larger than 25 acres and compel them to put some area under the trees. Like if it's larger the farm, we require them by law to put maybe 10%, then 20% even area under the trees.
Okay.
Right.
So you see in Europe, every farm they have put some area. They're compelling them to save the forest, social forestry, and that is not the wastage of the land. That will also provide you the timber and the income to the farmers, and you then introduce sustainable harvesting policies also. If you go to the Murray, the poor people who need to renovate their sort of ceilings in the coming for the coming winter to avoid the snow, they are not allowed to cut the tree right next to the house because there is a policy not to cut.
Wow.
Right.
We should place this policy in all areas of Pakistan, in all provinces, in every area, that you need to plant the tree. If you need to cut a tree, you need to get a permission.
Well.
True.
And strict restrictions on that. We need to put strict restrictions on shifting farmlands to housings.
True.
I would like to mention, I'm very sad on that, see hundreds of acres of mango cut in Multan area. Multan is our, like Basmati in Shekhupura, Multan is famous for our mangoes around the world. We should have thought several times before cutting one tree. We have cleaned the areas just to put under housing. So we need to identify areas which we also understand the housing needs of the rising population. We have vast areas not under agriculture. We can select that, put under new cities, new towns, new villages.
So, but that certainly looks like a long-term plan. Now, it will obviously take time, but at this point of time, what I would certainly want to ask is, there are so many places where the tube wells certainly do not have any water. There's no water supply to anybody's house or home, however you want to refer to it. I mean, I've lived in Karachi for 6 years. There was no supply water. There was a tanker mafia, and you would have to pay 40,000, 50,000 rupees per month to just get water in your tap as well. Now imagine the condition where now, I was just reading the other day where somewhere in Sindh, it was too hot that there wasn't any water. So now the Bowsers is going over there and that to an emergency. And that obviously is an emergency because 200 or more animals have died. 65 or more humans have passed away as well. So I think it's about time that we kind of talk about short term as well. When we talk about the irrigation systems now, we have drip irrigation system where this lesser wastage of water or, the only water which is being given to all of that farmland is the water which they will require minimum. So how do you think that in short term for all of those people who certainly do not have access to even clean drinking water that we have a solution for them?
I think the institutions like NDMA, while we are building their capacity to deal with floods, deal with the earthquakes and other disasters.
True.
This is the area that is they need to pay most of their more attention and more resources because it's coming every year and in different seasons now.
True.
Heat waves in March, never expected.
Exactly.
So, okay, and then the cold fronts that also people with less resources are affected. So we need to make a policy that what we will do to save our people, and we always forget their livestock.
True.
That is the main asset they have. And if a family loses couple of
They
cattle,
lost everything.
it's gone for the next 4 or 5 years.
True.
So we need to for the short term, we need to take it like on war footing. Even if we want, we can use our armed forces. We should expect everything from NDMA. If they are unable to, we need to mobilize all resources. And I remember back in 90s when 30,000 people were trapped in Balochistan. And we were looking towards the global community to help us.
True.
We should put all helis to bring water over there. We should have saved them.
True.
Many of them lost lives, and we were just waiting for support
For
from
the news
global
to come
community. Yes.
That's
Now in Cholistan, that is not that difficult terrain to support them. So they are waiting for some local NGOs to come forward. One pump is donated. What are we talking about?
Exactly.
I mean, we should bring water from wherever and save those people and their livestock.
And that's our responsibility as well. But thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation with you and to kind of talk about this issue, ladies and gentlemen. I think Dr. Saab absolutely made sense where he said that we should have saved those animals. We should have saved those lives.
Quickly, I would like to
Sure,
add
sir.
2 things. We have riverbed of 3 rivers to store
Yep.
the floodwaters. We'll always talk about that. That is very easy, cheaper way to store floodwater. We need several places to put that water for underground recharges, particularly in those areas where underground water is not fit for irrigation and drinking. And so we can make them that area little bit better water supply from the underground and stop messing with our underground water. We are putting sewage water, industrial waste into the underground water. That is the crime that our next generations will not forgive us.
Exactly, and thank you very much, sir, for saying so as well, because ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about underground water, I think a lot of countries actually share the same underground water as well. So in days to come, God forbid, it can be a little more dangerous as well. Whatever possible for you in your individual capacity, please make sure to do so, since it's the heat wave as well. Make sure that you put out water for animals, you put out water for birds too as well. And when Dr. Saab said that, we could have saved them, even if we had to use choppers, even if we had to use any other resource which was at our disposal, we should have used that to kind of save the animals for any particular family, ladies and gentlemen, because when we talk about livestock, that's all they have. But while we talk about all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's really important to kind of help your own self as well.
That is the most important.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to say something very interesting and very quick. I happened to, come across a news where in US a couple set themselves on fire to set a show. So I was thinking we should send them to Jacobabad or Multan or Sippy so that they don't have to do that.
But please don't set yourself on fire, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you're married, please don't do that, because you've already done that as well. We're heading out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys will come back, we will certainly talk about the rapid transformation therapy as well, and what it is and what wonders can it do for any individual in achieving their life goals as well. We're heading out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you, sir.
Welcome back, and right before going to the break, we were talking to you about something very important, that how to save water and how to deal with the water scarcity that Pakistan is facing.
Exactly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll certainly talk about how to deal with your own anxiety. Probably, if it's your exam tomorrow, how do you really kind of get rid of that anxiety? Or if you're about to start a morning show and you get that sort of a feeling, hey, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen. How do you get rid of that? God forbid, if you're abusing substance, ladies and gentlemen, how to get rid of it. If you have depression, God forbid, and you're not in denial, how to get rid of that. Not just that, in addition to that, God forbid, if you're on alcohol, how do you get rid of that?
Even changing your perceptions, your belief system, or breaking a bad
habit. For that,
habit.
I think it's important that you realize that your perception is not good enough.
Yeah,
and to do so, ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time in 9 years of work this morning, we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to have this art of rapid transformation therapy. He happens to be a clinical hypnotist as well, and I just get a little, I don't know, it's a very different feeling. Yeah. I don't know, he does like that, and you're probably sleepy, and then you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm a changed guy. So whether this is for real or not is something which we will be talking about. And God forbid, even if you're having a bad time in your relationships, ladies and gentlemen, how to sort it out, that's something which we will be talking about. And without kind of wasting a single second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very lucky that we've been joined by Mr. Umar Sheikh. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum, Pakistan.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we go out in 46 different countries. Why don't you name all of them?
I noticed that. A very good introduction and a hello to everybody in the same way.
Thank you very much, sir, once again. So first things first, you know, because this is for the very first time that we are actually going to talk about rapid transformation therapy, please tell us what it is, and then we will certainly kind of talk about anxiety, depression, insomnia, and all of these
Rapid
problems.
transformational therapy is a therapy which has been created by a lady by the name of Marissa Peer. Marissa Peer has been in the arena for over 30 years, and she created this about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to study it and come out the other end, get qualified with it. I'm also a lifestyle transformationalist, which includes many other different elements, which I then combine with RTT to be able to give a much more holistic result.
Wow, that's wonderful. So how does it work? Okay, you know, for anybody and everybody to understand, how does it work?
So RTT is a combination of hypnotherapy, NLP, CBT, and neuroscience. And they all come together in one form. Now, the difference in RTT is we work towards having a conclusion. All of the other therapies have a very important role to play in everyone's life, depending on what journey they're on and what they're trying to achieve. So talk therapy is excellent. For example, if you have something inside and you are feeling that you're not in a trusted environment and you want to be able to discuss it without being judged, तो आप एक talk therapist के पास जाएंगे, they'll help you with that, they won't judge you, and they'll sort of guide you through the process. It's excellent, it works.
Yeah.
In the same way, so does NLP, changes negative beliefs into positive beliefs. I'm just giving you a snapshot, it's much deeper than that, so you know, credit to all the NLP practitioners out there. And they all have their roles to play. What RTT does is it combines all of those. So I'm technically trained in all those elements.
So it's a more holistic approach.
Correct. And then, whereas with the other ones, they're great for the here and now, and possibly for the near future. What we do in RTT is we go back into the past through hypnotherapy, by using hypnotherapy, where we go into a regression to learn about the where, when, why, and the how.
The root cause.
Correct, exactly. Once we find that root cause, then we create the separation between when it started and who you are today.
Wow.
That makes it much easier for the client to recognize that it doesn't have to be them anymore.
And I don't know why, but even the way you're speaking, I think it's having an hypnotic effect on me as well.
So that is already working, sir.
Yes, but in addition to that, let's talk about precisely what are the most common issues over here in Pakistan, because this is this report which I shared somewhere back in 2017, that 2020 and onwards will be the Great Depression, and that's something which we have seen, you know, even amidst COVID. So depression obviously is going to be one. Number two, I believe, God forbid, unfortunately, suicide.
Yes.
And then are there any other as well?
Depression, you're absolutely right, seems to be coming up a lot from the clients I work with in Pakistan. Suicide is there, but it's not as high on the list, so we don't need to be varying that too much. But anxiety, self-esteem. And the tricky part is that self-esteem, and in case people don't know the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. Self-confidence, I'll use you just as an example. You've got great posture, great body language. Your self-confidence is what you're putting out there. Everyone is seeing it. How you feel inside is your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that is like. You may go behind that scene and just start crying. I don't know. So self-esteem is something that comes about from us from a very, very early age. And most of the people I'm sort of working with, believe it or not, it begins from their childhood. And this is the fascinating thing. Most of our habits, our beliefs are formed at a very, very early age. Our beliefs can be formed as early as when we are in the womb. So that conditioning starts then. So these are, you're right, so depression, self-esteem, and suicide are sort of the key things that I'm coming up with.
So talking about the cases in Pakistan, there's normally a taboo around, you know, therapies, and especially this thing is very new. So how do you plan to go about it? Are you really present in the sessions, or do you take these sessions online?
So the RTT, the brilliant thing about RTT, and I think it applies in most other therapies as well, is it's equally effective online as it is in person. So no one needs to fear. So if you are in a situation where you don't want someone in Pakistan to know that you're seeing a therapist, you can get in touch with me. I'm based in the UK. We do a session on Zoom, Skype, whichever you're comfortable with. So it's equally effective.
So how long is one session for?
There is no clock that's going to ring and say your time is up, I'll see you next week. The session is over when the client's done.
Exactly.
Right.
So I've been in sessions with clients that go up for about 3 hours, because remember what we're doing here is we're going very, very deep into your subconscious mind. And now the subconscious mind is somewhere where everything is stored. It's recorded there, it's always recording.
Yeah.
So when in the middle of the night we hear a noise and हम एकदम झांक जाते हैं, वो हमारा subconscious mind होता है.
जो असल में जाग रहा है.
Correct. It's recording, it's listening to everything. So we use hypnotherapy as a vehicle into that state. And then we speak and work with the subconscious mind. We dig up the memories from the subconscious mind.
And with
That
the
is so
consent
deep.
of the person, obviously.
Yeah,
Of course,
Exactly.
Because-
That's most important.
That's vital.
True.
Because unless the client is willing, it's just not going to work.
All right. Which is why, sir, I'm going to give you an example, for even a better understanding for our audiences who are out there as well. So this is one thing which happens to me quite often, and that is that, so I'm always very ambitious about whatever I'm doing. And, if I'm going to commit to a job, I will always make sure that I give it my 100%. But God forbid, we're all humans. If I procrastinate in doing what I was supposed to do, what happens is that I kind of am very hard on my own self. I keep on telling myself, you were being stupid, why were you being lazy, and all of that stuff. And then it continues for at least another 30 minutes and 45 minutes till the time I'm like, yeah, okay, I think it's done now, let's move on. So for somebody who is actually a functional RTT practitioner, how would you kind of refer to my problem that, okay, you know what, this will help. So, let's kind of give them the taste of your medicine. Let's do that.
Again, the first and most important thing is we have to recognize that the words we use create our beliefs.
True.
And our beliefs create our emotions, which then end up in the result of the action. True. So every morning when you are being dedicated to yourself and you're waking up and you're wanting to do this, you're telling yourself you want to do it.
Yes.
True.
And the morning when you wake up, we all do. Every now and then I have a down day too, especially when I was in school. We wake up, आज स्कूल नहीं जाना. आज मैं किसी ना किसी तरह कोई बहाना मार के मैंने काम पे नहीं जाना.
True.
Our mind's primary job is to make our life easy. So what we tell our mind, it will work towards making it happen.
Exactly.
That's the important thing. So if I wake up in the morning, मैंने कुछ नहीं करना, my mind is going to start working on either giving me a bit of a cold or a backache, making me feel lethargic. It will come up with something.
True.
Yeah.
ठीक है ना? And then that then follows through. So it's very important we recognize that. When we're in a meeting room and we're on a diet, there's a cookie on a plate. Our mind is telling us, have it.
Yeah.
Because our mind knows it's going to make us happy. I'm getting a nay.
Yeah.
But then the mind comes back and it says, the mind's a devil. The mind comes back and says, have half.
True.
You see? It's very much down to the words we use,
True.
which form our outcomes.
Manifestations, basically.
Sorry?
Which is why-
Manifestations.
Yeah, which is why in addition to that, so, because you spoke about belief system, and obviously, as Muslims, we kind of follow it very, I'm short of words, but we follow it very religiously as well when it comes down to that. So imagine, that for example, if I'm going to try to drink water with my eye, I cannot do that. Or if I want to kind of put food in my ear, I certainly cannot do that because, there are certain organs which are meant to do that. Eyes for the light, your mouth is for the food as well. So imagine heart is not for sins as well, so all you really need to put inside is love and harmony and peace. Now, God forbid, if you start to kind of do things which are not meant to be in the heart will start to bleed and you might not even feel great about it. So how do you think that we channelize our energies based on these belief systems as well, because that's the most important, to kind of stand firm with your belief system and then kind of try to be the best person you can be.
Again, our belief system is very simple.
True.
And it's correct in every way. Our belief system tells us to be good human beings. Our belief system tells us to be, kind to others, not lie, cheat, steal.
Follow the life of Prophet Muhammad
all of that,
sallallahu
right?
alaihi wasallam.
Correct.
It's as simple
The
as
most important thing I take from the beliefs is that we are supposed to love ourselves.
In the first place.
Exactly. Now, when we start to love ourselves, we open the door for the world to love us. But if we don't love ourselves and we're expecting it from our spouse or our children or our parents, no matter how much love they give us,
that
it
won't
will
be
not be enough. And that will put us into a very vicious loop of, why don't you ever tell me you love me? Why don't you ever say you care for me? What do you say to yourself? That's the first question we have to ask.
I agree.
It begins from there.
And then when you start to tell yourself that you love yourself, I don't think that you would actually want anybody else to kind of tell you that, you know, hey, we love you. Hey, why
You don't
you
need
tell
it
me?
anymore. You don't need it anymore.
Exactly.
That's the point.
And now, sir,
Fine.
moving on with that as well, you know, where we talked about depression, where we did talk about a little suicide as well. And, you know, unfortunately, what I've witnessed, you know, with people who are suffering from depression, I mean, it's really hard to make them understand that, hey, you know what, everything's going to be fine. And then at the same time, they even do not like it when you kind of talk to them about their life in general. And then when you kind of give them that support, hey, everything's going to be okay, you're just overthinking. And the kind of mental process they're in, you know, they cannot get out of it. It's a vicious cycle for them as well. So how do you think RTT can actually help people living with depression?
Depression has many different forms. And the first utmost important thing is whether it's RTT or talk therapy or NLP, people who are undergoing depression can result in the same person who's wanting to commit suicide. The most important thing you can do to help yourself is speak to somebody. And this is where we've got to get away from the taboo of ye therapist ke paas ja raha hai to ye to pagal hai. You know, that's not the case. It only makes it worse. Sometimes we wait too late. But that's where it's got to start. Talk to yourself. Now, as far as RTT is concerned, like I said, the primary thing is with rapid transformational therapy, we go deep down, take a deep dive into the root cause of where that depression begins.
And do you erase that then?
We eradicate it. I
So
don't even like to use the
why
word
do-
erase.
how
We
does it happen?
eradicate.
Finished. That's it.
How does it happen?
So
How
it's
do
not
you
going to be in our
eradicate it?
subconscious recorder. That's what you're telling us. And so it's not going to bug us for the next
Correct.
as many years as we're going to live.
Wow. So how do you do that? You're saying you're eradicating it altogether. How?
Once we've discovered the root cause, why it's there, then there are a number of different techniques within the session that we can sort of weave in and out of to get you to a realization of what your relationship with it is today, and then remove it. In the process, we also make a bespoke recording. The client and I make a bespoke recording which the client takes home with them. They listen to that recording for 30 days. The reason we do it for 30 days is because it takes 30 days to change a habit.
Do they spill the secrets as well?
You have to.
Which they
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to be completely trusting of the therapist, any therapist that you work with. Because otherwise, if there's only a limited amount of information I have, I can't work with it.
There's-
True.
And this is
You
why we
cannot
go to
help.
hypnosis. So hypnosis is about 20% of the process. And hypnosis is basically when we're taking you into a state, into an alpha state of mind where you're so relaxed that you have no choice but to be
Naturally
comfortable
flows.
speaking the way you are.
Yeah.
And it's the state of mind we all go into just before we go to sleep.
When you're half awake.
Yeah, you're semi-awake, yes.
Yeah.
And just to remove the myth around hypnosis, when you're under hypnosis, you are completely in control. We dialogue with each other. I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. I
Right.
can't take you anywhere you don't want to go.
Well, it's just the films that, you know,
Ah,
they've
that-
depicted the
yeah,
picture
yeah,
of
yeah,
hypnosis
yeah.
that way as well.
It's
Oh, it's
in the hands of a good therapist, you're in a very safe environment.
Alhamdulillah. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, it's a relationship of trust as well. But thank you very much, sir,
Thank
for
you
being
very
with us.
much.
It was lovely to be in conversation with such a vibrant, amazing personality in the first place as well, and that too well learned. For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, it's us giving a try to make sure that people out there who might be living with depression, who might be suffering from anxiety or any other issues, I mean, why not in the first place? I think it's only going to take probably Malik Riaz to going to go and take one session and then everybody will follow. I think
Yeah,
it's the
so
need of the
true.
hour, ladies and gentlemen. The pressure is immense and we live in a country where we do have limited resources. So please make sure that to have a greater life, that you're working on yourself in the first place and then seek help from any other person you think is the perfect example to
And
give
the
you.
most important thing is talk to yourself. Just don't close yourself in a box. You have to talk it out, or you have to even write it on a diary if you can.
Exactly, wonderful. And first things first and last things last, and that is that please make sure that if there's any problem, you recognize it in the first place. One of the most major problems people face is that they do not recognize their problem, which kind of emerges into their brain as well. They brush it under the carpet. Please make sure that you recognize your issues. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well
This Morning. On Twitter, it's Well This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's Well This Morning. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 10:05 tonight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.